You're welcome back to the Pulse on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Now, if you want to have more than one child and want to plan better for your children, then opt for the ultimate planner, family planning. This social intervention has evolved over the years to be the best way to space children as well as reduce pressure on social amenities. The National Family Planning Week was launched today on the theme, It's Your Life, Take Control. Hannah Dame was there for Joy News.
Research has found out that Ghana's population growth is not corresponding with the economic growth. One missing link, however, to bridge the gap is family planning. How well do you know about family planning? With me here is Charles, a man who has 3 children and has never used family planning. How did you space your children?
Okay, the first one having 10 years, and I decided that unless you get 10 years before, I'll give the second born. So I managed to get the 10 years before I get the second born, and then the third born too the same.
Were you afraid to use family planning?
Actually, to me, I don't know. I don't want to use it. I'm not afraid, but I don't want to use it.
Harry here with me is 7-month-old, and his mother, Victoria, tells me she's going to have more children. But let's find out what family planning method she knows and how she's going to use it. Victoria, how many children do you intend to have? 2. So Harvey is 7 months, and that means we are looking at 2018?
Yes, please.
Okay. Do you know what family planning method do you intend to use?
I intend to use the condoms for now, and then the natural cycle spacing.
Do you know much about the natural cycle spacing?
Yes, for now I read online. I get much more information from the internet.
And have you started?
Yes.
There are also some myths about family planning. Now, you know the myths that have to do with family planning, the IUD. Some say it makes you bloat, some say it makes you bleed more. Have you experienced any of these?
I have.
Which one?
With the implanol, I gained a lot of weight, but I changed it. And now I am on IUD, and I'm good.
Are you recommending that if one does not work for you, you have to keep changing?
Definitely. That's why there's several methods. And what happens to me will not happen to you, for instance. It might not happen to somebody else because we are different. Yes.
That's where the difficulty is. Because one did not really work for me, and you don't want to go for the other one.
They're different methods, and they have different uses. So if one doesn't work for you, it's always best to go for another method.
There are some who do not really know about the myths, but are just afraid that perhaps should I go for any family planning method, the next time I want a child, I may not have that child. Can you address that?
That's a myth. They should come to the family planning clinics, and we'll give them more information. It's just a myth. Family planning can rather help you have babies if you're looking for a baby.
So, to prevent maternal mortality as well as child deaths, whether single, married, or even those with fertility issues, family planning is the solution. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Wadame.
Who's just had a baby, yeah. Best example to tell us a story about family planning. Well, the topic of homosexuality is beginning to reappear in the conversations. In fact, the global repugnance for it reached its new level in New Mexico yesterday. Thousands of people protested against a government proposal to legalize same-sex marriage, which they say will undermine traditional families. Organizers said they were not opposed to gay or lesbian rights, but wanted to defend family values and the institution of marriage. Well, here in Accra, it's not a question of defending values, it's rather a question of its repugnance. And a poet has revived that conversation in Ghana with a push for Ghanaians to reject the acceptance or even the thought of it of homosexuality. He joins me now in the studio for a quick conversation on why he is beginning this campaign and what has influenced him to revive this conversation. Thank you for coming, Gwambila.
Thank you very much for having me.
Gwambila, you are known as a poet, but when did you transpose your art in reviving the conversation about homosexuality? What's wrong with that?
You know, I'm a poet who always looks at social values and then come out with spoken word pieces that will inspire, educate, and entertain the generality of my people. I believe that I'm a poet who comes from a contextual background, and so I believe that the issue of homosexuality has been of utmost, penetration into our system as a people. You know, Africa as a continent is known in a certain context, and then if you look at the US, it's also known in a different context. So when I heard that US had legalized homosexuality, that was where my passion rose, because I felt that this would transcend into other parts of the world. You know, when you look at the 1960s, society was pressured to accept all kinds of immoral sexual relationships. So if in the 1960s we were, you know, against certain sexual practices, and it has now come to stay in our, you know, our lives as a people, then it means that homosexuality, if a lot of campaign is not being done to, you know, to educate people about how, you know, retrogressive it is, then it is going to be a problem. It is going to be legalized as the other sexual, you know, activities have been legalized in the 1960s. So that prompted me to come out to this spoken word piece that will inspire, educate, and entertain my you know, generation.
So for you, is it your understanding that there seems to be a certain growth or gravitation towards us here in Ghana beginning to accept it, and that's why you're pushing for this?
Well, Ghana, for instance, there has not been a discussion as to whether it should be accepted or rejected. You understand? And it is something that you realize that a lot of people would kick against it. I'm not speaking based on a certain research, but my current video, it's enough research for that, because I released a video barely 2 weeks ago, and that video has received about 321,000 views on Facebook. And the number of people, I normally, you know, attach my contact to my videos, and so the number of people that have contacted me are mostly black people, and they are mostly people from different African countries. You can talk about Uganda, you can talk about Nigeria, Togo, Benin, you know, Zimbabwe, and all of those countries. And even if you had people contacting you from UK, from the US, they are simply Africans. So this should tell you something. I'm yet to receive a message from a white person congratulating me for this wonderful spoken word piece, but all the messages of congratulations have come from black people, and this should tell you something.
What should that tell me?
This should tell you that black people are against it because of our cultural context.
What the cultural context means, or because some will say that if it's universal of repugnance, it will be across board. Why should we put it in the category of it being African, black, white?
You know, it is very, very important that we always put things in perspective, and we put things from a, you know, cultural, you know, sense of emergence. Let's look at this. Africans are noted for people, or if you looked at our culture, you realize that we are so much drawn towards the idea of procreation. You realize that many, you know, families, you know, used to give birth to many children because they felt that having more children is a surety or a security for, you know, old age. And so they married a lot of wives, they give birth to a lot of children and all of that. That should give you something. This should tell you that, look, this is our context, this is Africa, and this is what we are noted for. We cannot, you cannot force a policy on us. You know, even when government is undertaking a policy, it looks at context. You cannot go to a village like Pakura and establish a water system for them and expect them to pay 100 Ghana cedis at the end of the month. Even some of them don't even have up to 20 Ghana cedis, you know, in the whole of a year.
Is that where you're from?
So no, I'm not from Pakura, but I'm just speaking.
You know,
I know of that village.
Okay.
You know, so if you look at that, policy must be of contextual importance. And so in this case, if the policy of homosexuality should make a case, then it should be looked at in a contextual manner. If you look at the context of Africa, homosexuality is something that everybody will kick at. Not everybody though. When I say everybody, I'm trying to make a majority of people will kick against it.
So are you saying that as a country, Ghana, maybe it's about time we begin to make our point clear policy-wise or law-wise that we are against it?
Yes, law-wise. Because even if we I'm not sure of any provision in the law that prohibits homosexuality, but you realize that most of the, you know, things we've heard about, you know, we follow the news and all of that. Some of this doctor, I forgot his name, he was persecuted because of sodomy, and you realize that last 3 weeks there was this guy who had anal sex with a 16-year-old boy and all of that, and he was gripped by the police. This should tell you something. You know, though it has not been stated clearly in our constitution, that homosexuality is illegal, the act is acted upon, and this deters people. You understand? Because if our laws are not clear on it, but we are punishing people for doing that, it means we want to take a neutral stand. But I believe that if we are able to come out clear as a nation that, look, homosexuality is abnormality and is something that does not fit our context as a nation and as a continent, then we should put in place the legal provisions that will enhance, our ability to fight against homosexuality.
Who should lead that charge? Parliament, the president? Who should lead that charge?
I think Parliament should lead that. But it's the executive is responsible for
sending the bills
to the House. So the executive should send a bill, and Parliament should look into it so that we can be able to regulate this homosexuality kind of thing.
Okay, Taufik, thank you for coming today.
Thank you very much.
And where do you intend sending the work you do? Such strong views. Where do you intend taking it?
I intend to take it to the world stage. I believe we are making significant progress, because initially it was only Ghanaians who appreciated what I do, but after this homosexuality poem, a lot of people across the world are contacting me and congratulating me for this. So I believe that it is a new chat for me, and motivation for me to do more.
Okay, thank you for coming once again, Gombila. I'm sure that for many who are watching, they'll have your own views to share. You can keep them coming on our social media handles, Joy News on Facebook and on Twitter. Remember, you can add the hashtag to your comment, The Pulse. Now,